Got it. Cool. So I think we were talking about what quality needs in the next phase of tracking test cases and displaying test results. I think we have a previous proof of concept where we just want to see a high-level list of issues per se, and then whether it's automated or the status is passing or failing. So let me just share my screen. This was done last year as an exercise with the rest of the team. Essentially, like these are test cases, like high-level test stories per se, or test scenarios.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the flag, whether it's automated or manual, is it covered in lower level tests? Yes or no. These are just like, think of it as like a control panel for a test.
Yep.
And where the test is run and eventually has it been passing or failing. Now, we want a dog food and we want to have everything in GitLab. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to lean on building on the things that we have. So we created this project. Like a bunch of these can actually be used with projects and issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a sample. Actually, it's being used now, like a test case project where each issue is a test case. And with all the flags that you see in here, these can just be labels.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, like you can look at what's passing in master, what's failing in master, what's passing on staging, what's failing on staging. And the beautiful thing about our issue board is that you can have multidimensional, because you can see create a group milestone is passing on staging. It could also be passing on master as well if you configure the boards correctly. Correct. So we can actually use an issue as a test case and update them on the fly with test results.
That's a really clever solution. And then you also get like a chat area for each of these.
Exactly. And then once a test case has been created, right, you get all the history right here in the discussion, because then we just have to, like, if the automation, no matter how we do it, either automated or not, it's just gonna put a blob here like, hey, test run on like this time, this date. I'm switching it to failing because now it's failing on staging, and the next one is passing on staging. So you get all the history here via issues. So the missing link here is that, Jason, we want to update issues from a test run, and we could do it two ways. We can do it via the API. Just write a really simple script. Like we can tackle on a JUnit report saying, if we generate a JUnit report, these are the reports.
Mm-hmm.
Each report is a test case, an issue number, and a project. So like what project and what issue we have to update, right? Yeah. And from that, just like go through the backend, either with the API or directly in the product with a controller. Like add it, the configuration would be in that test job when we push the report, what project do you need, what test case to what issue mapping is, and then we just update the status.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even necessarily, it's nice for an organizational principle to have a separate project for it, but you could even theoretically store these in the exact same project that you're working in, and they also have like a test case label or something like that, so you could filter.
Right. I think having that flexibility, whether you want to do it in your own project
or do
it in a different project.
It should just be totally configurable.
Yep, totally configurable. And I think we can use issues for now until we can find another new part of GitLab to represent this data. So at least we have the data, you know what I mean? Like we can push the data. It could be a test case object later in a few months when we have time to build it. But right now I just want to use issues because our board is configurable enough and flexible enough to do this. Like we shouldn't wait, you just go ahead and do it. And in this quarter, we're actually closing out all the enterprise test gaps. Like we have it now, test cases. We are going to automate it. Let's just push the results here so then we can just use the boards to visualize the result and then open this up to our customers. Hey, this is the status of our tests right now at this moment for this release, right? Go ahead and see it fully open to the world, what's passing, what's failing. We can even have generated reports for every release, like, hey, like what is passing for this release? This is like the single source of truth for the test cases. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think it's brilliant. Whoever came up with this is brilliant. I really like it as an MVC for test case management. It's really, really clear. You already have the CI job working as well that's doing this mapping to some extent. Yeah, it feels like we could productize this pretty easily. I wonder about the if somebody has like a test case with like 20,000 tests or something like that, like what it will end up doing. But
N+1 issues, like if you're exactly, I think we have to think about that as we build, right? It can be
yeah,
aging, like if you have 20,000 test cases, just update 100 tests at a time. But then I think those are like
yeah.
implemented.
But then the board will become a little difficult to interact with, and it might yeah, it might run into some issues there. But maybe those can be addressed in some other way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the job might take longer to run, but as long as we don't cause performance issues, like if you have 20,000 test cases, then sure, it's going to take longer to update. And then,
Well, the update is one side, but like even just looking at the board with 20,000.
oh, I think we can scope it by stage groups, because we now have, you have a board for like create, you have a board for plan, right? And then
yeah,
you can.
yeah, it's definitely not like an insurmountable problem or anything, but
Right.
it's something that we'd want to think of if we release this to customers, so that they didn't like shoot themselves in the foot
Right.
and accidentally run it and have it create all those tests. Like there's different ways you could even imagine summarizing it. Yeah, you could break it out into different label sets so that you can filter on different boards. But 20,000 issues is a lot of issues, however you slice it.
Right.
Maybe there's a limit temporarily until we can find like a better home for this stuff.
Yep. So what I mean by like the tests are already filtered by ultimate, and then
and the label as well. So if you
yes.
have the board, yeah, as long as you remember to filter on it. I don't actually know what the boards will do if you look at them when they have, so many issues on them. I don't know if they will fail to load at some point and just say there's too many issues.
Right. I think in the end we would just focus on failing tests. Like if it's passed, don't show it. That's another flavor to filter only what's the most important. So if the board is empty, okay, everything is passing. Like there are things we can work around.
Would you still have issues for those? Like, would you have, as part of test case management, like the API actually go in and create issues for tests that pass, or would you only create issues for tests that need some kind of attention?
So I think those are great. There are other reporting, like test fail, for example. Mm-hmm. There's an option in the integration tool. Do you want me to create a new test if it's not there? So as long as you have the ID in code, and if they can find the test case, it's just going to go and create one for you. I think that could be further features on the line, but I think MVC is, we need an issue ID mapped to a test case.
And and that's kind of the basis of everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. You definitely have to share this video with the plan team as well. I'm curious what their thoughts will be on it. But it's really nice. I'm sure we can get it working from the CI side, and it'll be a nice addition to the toolkit.
Right. I think, I mean, the beautiful thing about this, we don't have to do anything in plan, because we're using boards and issues.
Yeah, but we should consult with them, because they own boards and they own issues, and this takes advantage of their features, and we just want to have a conversation with them. But yeah, the beauty is we don't have to really build anything new, which is awesome.
Right. I will tag you on an issue. We have an issue to build this in our issue tracker. So I'll pass this on to you as well.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop recording then. Very, very nice.
Thank you.